Now, we saw Theo's deck earlier as we're getting down to the match here, but Raja has really brought a quite interesting deck. Do you want to talk about it for a moment?
Yeah, Raj has brought blue-black mid-range, and this isn't your Murktide deck. We haven't named this because it's not Murktide. It's playing cards like Bossum. It's playing Imri. It's playing a little Second Frog, a little Tassiger the Golden Fang. This is just blue-black. I got counter spells. I got kill spells. I got discard spells. I got creatures to kill you. And Raj is bringing it to battle here as the former champ takes on the current.
Yeah, as we are going to kick things off here, get these hands resolved. Not sure who we have on the play at the moment.
Yeah, it looks
I'm seeing a subtlety in Raja's hands. Looks like Theo's on the play, starting off with just a surveil here. Fatal push into the yard.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting too because, Theo and Raja, I believe, are like friends and they know each other. They play these events, right? So Theo probably knows Raja, and Raja's known for doing sort of his own thing, loves to play control in Modern as well. So Theo maybe knows it's like some blue-black kind of interactive pile, but might not know all the different, subtleties where Raja's probably tested against the Sewers deck a lot because Flicker has really taken over in the metagame over these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, as we are going to see Odawara as our land for turn, play out a Tamio and a Mox Amber, and then we're going to play the Nihil Spellbomb, a classic turn 1 play 5 cards.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting part of Raja's deck. We have a couple Ambers, but we're not playing 4. Raja's doing something that a lot of people talk about but never really pull the trigger on, of like, hey, my deck has a lot of legends. I kind of want, the ability to have some extra mana, so I have a couple Mox in my deck, and, they just do things like we just saw here.
Yeah, as Theo going to go ahead and push that Tamio, take care of it immediately. Pass back to Raja. We're going to play land here. And it looks like we're just passing, maybe. Going back over to Theo, cracking this fetch. Looks like that's going to be another Surveil land for Theo here. Really getting a lot of control over the top of his deck.
Going to the back street, trying to find the goods.
And I'm going to put the Witch Enchanter into the graveyard. And draw one anyways. Surveil land bug in real life. As we're going to impend this Overlord. Looks like it's just going to get quickly countered.
And I want to call back to our round one. I'm sure some of you were busy during that time, but we saw Theo play a similar matchup, blue-black Murktide versus this, where the Vial was in play on turn 1, and our handful of counterspells did nothing. This game, Raja, even though it's still on the draw, isn't having to compete with the Vial, and it's going to be much harder for Theo to sort of enact the plan uninterrupted.
Yeah, as we are going to fetch here for Theo. And we're just going to get a basic plains here. We have the Igandro Castle on the field as well.
Great way to protect your Ophelia.
Yeah, we're just going to hardcast a Witch Enchanter.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Raja could fight over this, but also, what does Theo want to hit? Does Theo want to hit the Spell Bomb and just get it off the board? Does Theo want to hit the Amber? I don't think Raja cares much about the Amber right now. The Spell Bomb, Raja's pretty happy with having up, but also you can just pay the black and draw a card and, keep your counterspell for later. As it looks like the Witch Enchanter. No, it looks like Raja actually wanted to take the card draw and maybe let the Amber die. Could be a heads up way to have Tasker hit the board. You blow this up, and then now I've got more Delving Fury for my kind of dead Mox.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are going back over to Raja, 4 lands in play now. We see a Subtlety in hand, as well as I think a Counterspell and a Fatal Push. And Theo gonna get in with this Witch Enchanter. And gonna, play another one of the MH3 creature land flip cards in the Boggart Trawler. This one is going to get hit with the Subtlety.
Yeah, Boggnati, as I like to call it, might be going to the bottom here.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like that is where Theo is sending it.
And that's always such an interesting part of subtlety, right? It's like, are they doing this because it's 4 mana to play this card and they don't want to have their mana tied up, or do they actually care about this card they're putting on top or bottom? And with cards like that, it can be really hard to tell.
Absolutely. As we're going to get in for a little bit of damage from the subtlety here. It looks like we have Bobble, Counterspell, Fatal Push, I believe is the hand. And 2 Ephemerates in Theo's hand.
Looks
So
like
we're going to
Raj.
Bobble, show Raja our card. Show us our card too, Theo. It looks like a Recruiter.
That's a huge one with Ephemerate.
Yeah, not as huge if it gets countered, which it looks like it will.
Yeah,
And
and we're
pass back
seeing
over to Raja.
draw from the Bobble, draw from the turn, then just an immediate attack. But you're seeing, just how different this game is when you have Vial versus when you don't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Raja's been able to just have such control over everything Theo is doing. Now, that being said, eventually, got to run out of counter spells.
It's true.
And we're going to play a Skyclave Apparition. This one's going to get through. Takes the subtlety.
I think this might actually end up being a bad news situation for Theo. I think one of Raja's last cards is Fatal Push.
That's right.
And that means we'll get a 4/4 token instead of a 3/3. Now it doesn't have flying, but it's very big.
Yeah, we have perhaps buffed the subtlety.
Skyclave Apparition, one of the weirdest cards when it comes to tokens, because they didn't make like a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4 one. They just made an X one. So it's like always a token you have to like get a dice for. It's a whole rigmarole every time.
Yeah, as we are going to go ahead and make this illusion token for Raja. We're going to fetch here. Surveil away a Fatal Push.
Yeah, and you see Raja thinking about it. I think Raja is low on gas, and it's like, does his Fatal Push matter enough with this 4/4? Because obviously it's a spell, which is nice, but maybe I need something a little bit stronger.
As Tamio, I think the last card in Raja's hand might just be a land. But I think Theo's just sitting on Ephemerates and lands.
I think so too. And yeah, I mean, Theo had a couple good draw steps in the road to kind of force Raja's hand, but now, can't really attack, and 0/3 is huge. Losing the race as well.
Yeah, Raja about to start drawing cards with these clue tokens. I mean, we can, block an Ephemerate or something. It just feels so bad. It looks like we're just taking the damage down to 4 life for Theo.
Yeah, Theo, I think, is realizing this Ephemerate needs to be on something like
there's
Solitude.
another Tamio in Raja's hand.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for insulation here. And, Raja does have a lot of lands. These kind of decks can do this sort of thing. But, he's putting Theo in a position where, hey, you've got to have something quick. Theo doesn't. And you also notice both players are kind of holding lands, trying to posture here. Sometimes players, you hold lands, you're trying to bluff something. But players of this caliber, they play around stuff sometimes. And this is your best out, is to maybe hope for them to get, a little more confused, despite wanting the mana for both players, as we are going to see a block. And yeah, Theo really valuing the Ephemerate here for something like a Solitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to draw again with our clue. Not sure what Raja's picked up here. We're going to play another land. And Tassiger coming down.
The Golden Fang.
For 1 mana, the 4/5 comes down.
Yeah, and this is one of the cards I was mentioning when we talked about like needing specific cards. Tassiger's activate ability is a ton of mana. Now, back in the day, it was incredibly strong. Here, it's still going to be pretty good. Like Raja's going to get some stuff, and yeah, Theo's going to give the one that's best for Theo, but Raja just kind of needs raw resources a lot of the time. So it looks like Raja's basically trying to lay out what cards am I delving away, which ones am I keeping, and trying to basically hopefully make it so no matter what, we get a spell here. or a card we want. Looks like, for the most part, it's baubles and counterspells in the graveyard for Raja.
Yeah, I mean, delving away the fatal pushes there, taking that option away from Theo.
Yeah, and you see Raja just main phase activating this here, seeing if we hit like a bauble gets given to us, we get our card immediately. Could have faked having up mana for a counterspell, but knows that isn't what this game is about right now. And
that's gonna be a Flicker Wisp. It's gonna
that's
take care of that
thing.
token.
Yeah, and I mean, in the end step here, Theo can flicker this Tasigur away.
True. Yeah, a lot of decisions here for Theo. On a very tough spot.
Yeah. Really sick game of Magic getting to watch here of, two matchups where both players, I imagine, Raja probably a little bit more experienced just because Theo's deck's a bit more well-known, but they're both thinking about, okay, what's going on? What have I seen? What do I play around? How do I navigate from here? This is sort of, the funnest part of Magic in a lot of ways. So it does look like we're ephemerating the Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, going to exile the Tasigur for a turn here. Save Theo some damage.
Super interesting spot because the Tamiyo wants to attack to get a clue. Raja keeps wanting to draw cards, but the Flicker Wisp is in the way. You have a Fatal Push. You could, commit to killing the Wisp, but maybe you don't care about it as much as that. A very weird spot here for Raja, who probably lead on the Thoughtseize to sort of see what's going up.
Yeah, with the Thoughtseize, we force the Ephemerate to happen now. We don't have a way to turn on the Fatal Push in response.
Well, yeah, we might have it in response, but Theo might flicker our Tamiyo. He might also just flicker his own Surveil land to get a little selection.
Sure.
I can't imagine this Flicker Wisp was... Yeah, you see Theo there playing around Fatal Push in such a smart play. Doesn't want the Tamer to connect.
Very heads up from Theo. Very well played. Now, I mean, we still do have the option to investigate on attack, pop that, and then push.
Yeah, but that's asking so much more of Raja and just, forcing the hand a bit more. As Raja's actually going to Legend Rule the Tamiyo, doesn't need it anymore to Fatal Push here.
Yeah, that'll do it too. We'll attack, get the clue.
Pop the
Crack
clue.
the clue.
All right, Raja. I'm a little confused on that one, but, you've got it going here. A Psychic Frog comes down, and we're going to get some surveilling happening. These Ephemerates are going to fizzle, as there's nothing for them to target.
And I think that is going to be it for our first game. Congratulations, Raja Sulaiman, taking it down with blue-black midrange.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got game number 2 still coming here. I'm really curious to play our sideboard, but that first game, I think, shows two big things to me. One, the difference of Aether Vial versus not for Theo's deck. And two, how, once again, Modern seems to be an underexplored format. So quickly players are like, we know what the best decks are. Let's do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Now people were saying that 1 month ago, and Theo came in with this black-white deck and changed everything. We're now talking about it being like a top 5 deck in Modern. Well, maybe Raj is doing the same thing right now. I have to see how this weekend plays out. Let's check out these players' sideboards, though, as I can't wait to see what Raja has in here because the main deck was crazy enough. We're starting with Theo, though.
Yeah, taking a look at Theo's list here. I mean, we saw this a little bit earlier today, again, as we were playing the Dimir Murktide player. What are we thinking? What are we liking in the sideboard? I mean, I know you are just a personal lover of the Aven Mind Sensor, but
yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I love Aven Mind Sensor. Might not be the right spot. Even Interrupter, I could see, once again, I mentioned round 1, how like on the play gets a little better. But Raja's deck seems to be a lot cheaper mana value wise, a lot less punished by, committing mana to a threat and then getting got. Tasigur sort of always gets its value versus Murktide, where replaying it with plot, it's just a 3/3, something a Flicker Wisp can trade with. So I would guess that Theo approaches this basically the same as the Murktide matchup and will sideboard accordingly from there. So maybe something like March of the Whirly Light comes in here as, another answer to Tamiyo and Psychic Frog, where most blue-black decks today aren't playing main deck Tamiyo. But besides that, I imagine it's pretty similar stuff here.
Yeah, let's take a quick look if we can at Raja's list. The very interesting blue-black mid-range list that we have here. As we mentioned earlier, 4 consigns in the sideboard could be quite nice. Also got some other options here. How are you feeling? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, the 4 consigns, I do think we probably have enough things that we can bring some of those in. I still think the counterspells are kind of rough. We saw just how good they are without Aether Vial, so maybe Raja, will want to trim on things more like these Nihil Spell Bombs. We have 3 in the main deck, a very large statement about the current belief of where Modern's at. Besides that, though, I think we're going to bring in probably some cards like Shoot the Sheriff, having some more kill spells, kind of nice. Stern Scolding, once again, massive, basically counters everything in the deck. And then, I think that will probably be all that she wrote when it comes to the sideboard. I could see some other things like maybe you want the Meat Hook Massacre because of the low toughness, that can clear some stuff up. I could see a world where maybe you want some Thought Seizes as a way to try to, fight over the cards like Solitude ahead of time. A lot of different ways to approach it. I'm not going to sort of claim to have full understanding of Raja's deck is trying to do, but I think, fighting over Solitude is a believable thing. It's really a matter of, do you want the extra cards or not? And we'll have to see as these players are presenting to cut right now.
Yeah, let's get down into it. I am excited to see these 2 champs battle it out in this game 2 here. Going to have Theo on the play. As our players are drawing up their opening hands. Not seeing a lot of lands, but do see 2 Aether Vials in Theo's hand here.
Yeah, and it looks like Raja decided to bring in the Harbinger of the Seas that were in the sideboard. I thought he might try to avoid those, just given things like Vial, etc. But looks like he wanted to bring it in, as maybe he thinks that Theo won't respect it from his deck.
Yeah, as we are going to bolt in this Bower Trawler Bog here to get the Aether Vial on board. Gonna bobble the top of Theo's deck and then Thought Seize him. As we get a clean look at the hand here, no other lands. Fatal Push, Emperor of Bones, Skyclave Apparition, Aether Vial, Solitude.
Yeah, I mean, the big ones jump out to me are Vial and Solitude. Can definitely make an argument for Fatal Push, especially with Theo's only land being this Boggart Bog. Vial will stop, the double spelling situations from happening. Fatal Push obviously means that, our 2-drop creatures like Psychic Frog will be protected from being a 1-for-1 interaction. So you could do something like maybe take the push, develop a frog, get it solituded, and now you got Theo on low resources, and that might make the Vial a little worse because there we go. I think Raja is agreeing with me. The Vial is really strong, and we're only on 1 land here, but eventually Theo will draw lands, and if we're low on resources, then it doesn't matter that we have all these Vials. So I think Raja might be trying to take that approach to this game, and also Raja knows the top card, we don't. So it might just be a land. I think the Vial plan isn't a good one, as it was.
Yeah, it looks like it was indeed a land. We'll go ahead and play out our second Vial. Now that Harbinger definitely feels less impactful when Theo's got 2 Aether Vials on the board.
Yeah, it probably is just going to be something that stops Impending Overlord at this rate of the game, right? Because Vial on 2, Vial on 3, that's going to cast basically everything. So I agree that I think it's probably going to be basically non-existent. But, it could come up in some weird scenarios. As I think Raj is trying to figure out, do I want to slam Psychic Frog now and sort of let the Solitude get it, or maybe potentially the Skyclave? Or do I want to hold up it plus Stern Scolding in my hand? And it looks like Raj is just going to take the risk on the Psychic Frog right now.
Yeah, so we're going to uptick our Aether Vials. We have 1 on 2 now, and we have the Emperor of Bones in hand. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and fetch.
Yeah, and a potentially disaster. I mean, now we have planes for underneath the Harbinger of the Seas. A really tough spot for Raja. I think Raja was really hoping that this could not be a castable card, and it was going to have to be Solitude if Theo was going to want to kill it.
Yeah, that's going to be the Skyclave apparition taking out the frog. And then looks like before combat, we are going to get this Emperor of Bones onto the field. Go ahead and exile that bauble.
Yeah, and we're seeing, Vile very strong. Even in this game, we kept a one lander, kind of on the back of Vile. We've drawn a bunch of lands. Kind of when you keep these one land Vile hands, your Vile resolves, you kind of hope to never draw another land, but still very impactful here in this game and has made the texture of it very strange.
Yeah, what is Raja to do at this point? We've got the Harbinger, doesn't seem like that much. Looks like we might have an Emry as well. I think we have a Sink into Stupor.
Yeah, picked up Tassiger for the turn 2, so that might be something that can help you, in a couple turns start to stabilize. But once again, we know Solitude's there to sort of be this big issue. So
yeah, also just kind of tough with, Emperor of Bones pressuring your graveyard every turn to get that that delve fuel in there. Looks like Harbinger is going to be what we play here. So we've got a body.
And I think Theo and Raja are joking about it. All right, I'll tick up my vials with my free evoke card, as is my last one in hand against your Blood Moon. Yeah, and you see they're chatting about something there and smirking.
Yeah. As we're gonna go through Theo's turn here, activating the Vylon 2. Gonna be another Emperor of Bones.
Yeah, I think the trade might be good for Raja. It doesn't look like it would be at first glance, but
I guess we don't have a way to grow the Emperor anymore.
Yeah, which is maybe a reason to keep it locked down, right? Like the Emperor potentially becoming a 4/4. Unironically, it's kind of frustrating for Raja here. So, but I also just think Raja needs things that kind of go his way for a second, and taking the trade here, take a trade, pick up a fatal push, start going off. That's the way for Raja to get back in this game in a real way.
Yeah, we do have the Otawara, which would be really nice against Aether Vial. Does not feel as nice against 2 Aether Vials.
Yep. I think Raja can actually just fetch, get and play Tassiger here.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we can delve away 2. Tassiger will cost 4.
Yeah, and we all know there's a Solitude in hand, but also what else is Raja to do, right? Like we need to work through these things, and like you point out, the Emperor Bones is going to stress our graveyard more and more. Might as well just get this down and work through this. Theo takes up to 4 on the Vial. To me, that's a big sign that I'm kind of okay with this Tassiger sticking around for at least one turn.
Yeah, as Theo looks like has a Thoughtseize about to play here.
Stern Scolding and I think Sink into Super are the.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Theo's pointing out that no, I can actually Thoughtseize that land out of your hand.
Yeah. Now, the interesting part is I do think it might actually be Sink, but there's a lot of worlds where it is just Stern Scolding. Like that is a very strong card, especially for 1 mana here, in combination with Tassiger's activation. But
Emperor of Bones, exile Emperor of Bones.
That's called going infinite. What are you gonna do? Kill my Emperor? I'll put another one in play. Sure, it will go away, but who's to say I won't ephemerate it? Stay woke.
Yeah. And once again, we do not have the ability to grow this Emperor at the moment, with only our 1 black source being the Bog, which we use to Thoughtseize.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, Raja, I kind of like getting into combat, seeing what can happen. But I think Raja is supposed to just activate this Tassiger in the main phase, try and hit something, like a fatal push that can maybe come up, or hit a bauble and sort of move through your deck, right? Because you have the Sink into Stupor. I guess waiting is fine. Probably can't go too wrong.
Yeah, I wonder. Man, a lot of options available to Raja. I mean, you can start to think about bouncing vials. Just buy yourself a little bit of time on this solitude.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Odawara for 3, thanks to that. Yeah, and with the vial trigger on the stack, Theo. Yeah, and you know what? Raja's saying, "Hey." Oh, and you see Theo's face tanking on. Do I want to keep it on 3 or go up to 5? And yeah, I kind of like this. Raja, there's a smart heads up play from both of y'all there, where it's like, hey, I want this Tasker around. If you want 2 for 1 yourself and lose the Solitude and whatever other white card, fine, I'll accept that. But if not, I'm going to slowly accrue value. I came to do that this weekend, and by golly, I'm going to do it.
Right. Well, and we also know, we and Theo both know about the sync. Oh no, the Sync Super is one we took. So we are out of known bounce spells. But it looks like we decided to keep the Aether Vial on 3.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, like you said, there's Stern Dismissal in hand for Raja, and Raja has 1 mana, and this feels like a spot where he just has to counter. He's like, yeah, what else am I gonna do?
We drew Solitude. So Solitude, pitch Solitude, put it under the Emperor of Bones, adapt the Emperor of Bones, get the Solitude out, take care of the Tassiger anyway, hit you for 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I totally missed this line. I maybe it was better just to let. I guess the Emperor of Bones just gets big either way, but getting nugged by that much, and also firing the bones off. Maybe Raja thought it's better to keep the bones offline, but yeah, this is a very real clock now, and I think a very heads up play from Theo there, who knew exactly what was going on. You saw how quickly he immediately was like, adapt, get this back, get you.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are going to fetch here.
Going down into the actual Undercity sewers here.
I think that's a harbinger of the tides for Raja in hand.
I think so as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna bin a counter spell. Gonna play our harbinger. I think it's just gonna end up chump blocking something.
Yeah, I mean, Raja is, on death's door.
I guess you can trade it.
Yeah,
with the Skyclave. Oh yeah, but we're just gonna pick them up. We're just gonna scoop them up, which means we are going to have a game 3 on our hands here. Congratulations, Theo Jung. Really, once again, showing just expert prowess in this black-white blink deck.
Yep. And we're seeing too just how much like core magic stuff is also coming into this gameplay, right? Like how am I going to engage with combat, these sort of little things, along with the nuanced stuff, right? Like I totally missed it there of like, well, it feels like we have to go to the Solitude, whatever. But then suddenly the extra 3 damage and the adapt and, just life didn't really matter there, but it could come up later. And it just swung things so far to Theo and sort of forced Roger to be on the back foot, where maybe if Raja didn't, maybe Theo would have waited on the adapt, would have had a little bit more time. It's hard to say, but it was a very interesting game. And I'm so excited to see game number 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited to see how this one concludes. I mean, both players really showing why and how they were able to earn the title of NRG Series champ. We are getting to see a really, really impressive display of both of these decks. And I can't wait to see how game number 3 goes. Looks like our players are still sideboarding down at the table. Let's take another quick look at Raja's list. Again, it's a very unique one.
Yeah, this is a very unique take. I mean, this is a Raja special. If you know Raja, you've watched him play here on the series for a couple of years now. He loves to have creative approaches to both, the way he builds stock decks and deck building in general. Very much someone who gets in tune with a format, has the way he wants to play the games and goes about playing them. This is a very, very interesting deck. And, we've given you enough time to screenshot this so y'all can go infest the MTGO leagues and really, do the hard work for us. Let us know as we're heading into Portland next week. And speaking of future events, let's pull up the upcoming events for the rest of the year as our players are still sideboarding. We have a little hand cam we can see as our next one here is Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're going to have a 10K standard showdown followed by a 5K pioneer trial. which, not a lot of places to play high stakes competitive Pioneer out there right now. So if Pioneer is your jam, this is the place that you want to be.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this one. Just in general, like Standard is such a unique and interesting format and has a lot of diversity to it. And Pioneer was sort of, people are saying, hey, it's getting really good. We're finally getting that deep, deep card pool we needed with enough answers, enough threats. And, there hasn't been, like you said, a lot of light on it recently. Well, we've had multiple sets come out. Anyone who puts the work into that 5K trial is going to be paid off heavily. So I can't wait to see that there and commentate that one here in the booth and see who's going to take it down. It looks like our players are finally finishing shuffling up here.
Yeah, so we're going to get back down to the match here. Our game 3 of Raja Sulaiman versus Theo Jung, NRG champ versus NRG champ. Demir mid-range versus Orzhov Blink.
Yeah, we saw last year. So Raja, played some of the events, had a pretty strong start, but focused some more on some real life things. This year, coming back, wants to play champs again, wants that title, and if he can win this weekend, that's a great way to get back there. As Theo's waiting already. Theo has that invite from being our current champ as a fatal push takes down Tamio.
Yeah, turn 1 Tamio, followed by Theo. Play the fetch land, just show you the fatal push. Hey, this is gonna happen. Get rid of the Tamio. We have a handful of cards here for Raja that are pretty interesting, although no black sources just yet.
Yeah, and with Blossom in hand too, that's a card that Raja definitely would have liked. And here comes that annoying Aether Vial again.
Yeah, Aether Vial put into play. I mean, it's just really making this Harbinger feel pretty awkward. Also, Theo 2 planes in hand.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the Harbinger. I'd love to talk to Raja about what the idea is here, as it does to me seem like it's a little lackluster in this matchup, even when you can slam it on 3. Even if the Vial wasn't here, it gets drawn a turn or 2 later, it's just going to get you out from underneath it.
Yeah, as well. Someone's going to come down, going to get fatal pushed immediately. Back to Theo. We've got a counter on the Aether Vial. Play one of those planes. Theo only runs 3 planes in the deck. He has them all now.
Yeah, I wonder how much that played into Theo's keep as well. I didn't see how many of them were in the opener, but it's probably fair to assume there's 2, right? Like it's like, well, I've kind of got this one card covered. I don't need to worry about it anymore between this and a Vial.
Yeah, and there's Psychic Frog as a play for Raja. We're going to go back over to Theo, who's going to uptick the Vial onto 2. We have a Bowmasters in hand, so we do have something to do with it immediately. And here comes the Thoughtseize. Going to get a good look at Raja's hand here, assuming this resolves.
Yeah, and Raja pointing out, hey, that's a Sink into Stupor. It's like a land.
It's like a land, but it's a land that you can Thoughtseize. We've got Harbinger, and then we've got Sink into Stupor, and then we've got 2 Stern Scoldings.
Yeah.
Stern Scolding also pretty awkward into this Aether Vial.
Yeah, it keeps coming up how Aether Vial is this huge menace. And you see the Solitude in hand for Theo. And I don't know if he has a white card that could actually, block the to pitch to the Solitude to answer the Frog, even if we wanted to. But this is just an incredibly weird spot, and you're so close to hard casting the Solitude. Maybe you can try and bait Raja. I don't know. This is a really tough decision. I could see an argument for both Stern Scolding and Sink into Stupor. Looks like Theo's just going to take the Sink, maybe to protect this Aether Vial.
Yeah, I really like taking the Sink into Stupor to protect this Aether Vial. When you know your opponent's hand is creature counterspell, Harbinger, I feel like you want to really keep and protect this Aether Vial. That is just such a clean answer to all of those things. As Theo looking like going to Aether Vial in this Bowmasters, shoot the Frog. Now this puts an interesting position on Raja here, right? So the Frog is marked for 1 damage. If we jump it to draw a card, we're gonna give Theo another trigger.
Yeah,
actually, this might even be after blocks.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it with the trigger on the stack if you want to prevent damage too, because Raja can discard a card. So maybe you're forcing Raja to discard. Now, if you can tell from my commentary, I think the first discard's pretty free for Raja. This Harbinger of the Seas with the quadruple plane or the triple planes, excuse me. That one's there. But yeah, I think Raja might be thinking about before blocks, because if Theo doubles, he'll have to discard 2 cards instead of 1.
Yeah, force him to jump now. All right, so this is definitely before blocks. We've forced Raja to jump the frog. And then we are casting a Shoot the Sheriff before we get this additional trigger here. So we don't even have to discard now.
Yeah. Raja just wanting to, it probably feels like that Bowmaster is going to be an issue and doesn't want the Orc to amass, causing more issues in the future turn. So
yeah. And Theo going to get in with that Orc army as the Aether Vial goes up to 3 counters. Had not found a 5th land for the Solitude just yet.
Yep, and 3 is the spot where the whole deck starts to get turned online.
Oh, and there is a Flicker Wisp to stop Raja from drawing another card off of this frog this turn.
Yeah, and you see Raja has a Fatal Push in hand, can now use that as a way to take care of the Wisp.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting game state we're in right now, where Raja's needing Theo to not draw land, but also I don't really care because I have the Stern Scolding as long as I leave it up, but I kind of wish I could do a couple things in a turn. It's a very interesting spot here.
Yeah, we have options. We can play this Harbinger and Fatal Push. We can play this Harbinger and hold up Stern Scolding. We can't do both.
Yeah, I think if I was Raja, my gut would be Fatal Push the Wisp, hold on to this Harbinger, with all those planes in play. All I'm really stopping is Overlord at the moment. And then move on. But it looks like Raja doesn't mind the Flicker Wisp, as we're seeing Vial tick up to 4, and that means Solitude's just a turn from coming down.
Yeah, and still no land for the Solitude here. So we're going to pass back over to Raja. Not sure what he picked up there.
I think it might have been another Stern Scolding. I think Raja's very angry. He's one to scold.
Oh, I think you're right. That is tough against the Aether Vial that's about to be on Solitude numbers.
Yeah, if there wasn't, this Aether Vial in play, this would be a great position for Raja, Just, all right, I got a bunch of counter spells, you got a bunch of 5 drops, let's start casting them. But Vial changes the dynamics of these matchups so much, and you can see Theo's finally ready to start attacking.
Yeah, as we get in here with the Flicker Wisp, pass back over to Raja. Going to attack with the Frog. Bring in the Solitude, exile the Frog. We have another Frog in hand. Looks like that might have been the pickup for this turn.
Frog is exiled. We'll get that taken care of here in a second.
Yep.
As Fatal Push can kill the Flicker Wisp, it might need to stay around. We might be worried about cards like Felia coming down.
And here is Psychic Frog, and we are going to pass over. So no Fatal Push available till next turn for Raja.
I don't know. The judge is asking, so they might just be like, we're all good, right? Just double checking everything.
Just confirming. Solitude exiled the Frog. It should be gone. That's going to be a Witch Enchanter as the pickup here. I think we have 2 more Solitudes in hand, though.
Theo is not alone, despite having so much Solitude. Attack for 6. Bang.
Yeah, get that damage across.
I wonder if Theo just main phase cast the Switch Enchanter because it's a 2/2.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Fatal Push back online all of a sudden.
Oh no, it can come my Witch Enchanter.
Oh no. There we go. Let's get some power on the board. We've got like 3 Stern Scoldings.
Roger, yeah, you gotta fire off the scolding, my man. You're not getting better. It's just there you go.
Yeah, and we get the push on the Flicker Wisp. So I mean, Raja doing a really good job of, despite being what feels like very far behind, managing Theo's board state.
Yep. But I think that one thing I'm really like it's telling to me about this matchup and might be an issue for Raja's deck long term is just how much of a pain it seems to be to like fight through this deck, even when there's no Overlord of the Balemark. And Overlord of the Balemark's the thing that's like supposed to go kind of like way over the top in these kind of matchups. So, it might just be the way these games are playing, but Theo is doing such a good job of being that controlling deck, which, these blue-black mid-rangey decks have always struggled with is like control decks. And Modern is Glistening Deluge is played. I missed that one on the sideboard.
Deluge. I mean, once again, Raja doing a good job of keeping up with this board state here.
Yeah, this is
Theo
a great.
Had another Solitude in hand. It's like chose not to get it out. I guess saving it for answering something of Raja's.
Yeah, looks like there is a small life total discrepancy.
Yeah,
it looks like Raja is supposed to be at 10.
Yeah, maybe just missed 3 life gain from attacking with the Solitude.
Yep.
And here comes Harbinger once more. We've got a Recruiter in the guard for Recruiter of the Guard for Theo in hand, but of course Raja just stacked with these Stern Scoldings.
Yeah, and you're seeing Theo too. It's a really and it's I think Raja, but anyways, it's a really weird spot where like you kind of want to win, but you're a control deck at your heart. So this card doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Solitude's not meant for this card. I'm gonna wait, And we're seeing a lot of patience from Theo, where I think a lot of players would have ended turn, got the Solitude, get rid of that, bang, attack Raja for 3, put him to 6. And, maybe they ends up regretting it. But I think the way these games kind of should play out, this is really good for Theo to kind of have that patience, at least for another turn, and, see if Raja will slam something like a Basim that you want to answer right away.
Yeah, as we are going to go ahead and get that Solitude in, which Theo has another Solitude in hand, the 4th Solitude in hand, and is now going to, I think, just hard cast this Overlord.
Yeah, he hard cast it, and I think this is really telling too about what Theo knows is going on. Theo's like, hey, I'm going to cast this card even though I could Violet, because I know you almost assuredly have one counterspell like at most. After how the last game went, you're just not going to be having that kind of card in your deck. So I can slam this and put it on the board and still have that Solitude that's uncounterable up, because I care more about that than this Overlord. And if you do have the one counterspell, then rough beats.
Yeah, well, and also, we know there are multiple Stern Scoldings in hand. So we can't like violin the Overlord, flash in the Solitude. And I think that is going to do it. It looks like Theo picking up the game 3 here. Congratulations to our most recent NRG champ, taking it down with the Orzhov Flicker.
Yeah, and I mean, just impressive game from both players there. The Orzhov Flicker deck, I say it every time, it continues to impress. And Theo's taken down, the 2023, the 2022, the 2023 champion is our 2024 champion. So, unless there's someone from the 2021 era, I think Theo's knocked them all out today. But, there's still going to be a lot of Magic left to be played today. I'm excited to see can Theo sort of, get these last couple rounds done and make our top 8.
Yeah, a lot of Magic still left to be played later on today. And this weekend, again, we have the Trios event, which is going to be on coverage all day tomorrow. We've got Magic coming at you all day for the rest of the day today. A lot to stay tuned for. And let's take a quick look again, Mason, at what is upcoming for the NRG series later this year in case people want to play. And that is a lot of really cool events. I mean, we are in the Chicagoland one right now, but coming up in March in Madison, we have a standard showdown. We have that Pioneer trial we are talking about, 10Ks, 5Ks. In May, we come back to Chicagoland for modern and standard. And then Indianapolis in June for the standard showdown 10K, followed by the 10K team sealed showdown. What a cool event. I would love to play a 10K team sealed event. That is so sick.
Yep. I can't wait to see those events all coming up to you in just this first half of the year. We'll announce the other half later on. But Niall, I think that's unfortunately going to do it for our time in the booth today. It was great to get to commentate with you. There's still going to be a lot more Magic left. Do you want to let the people know who's coming?
Yeah, absolutely. That, as Mason said, is the end of he and I in the booth today. Thank you for watching. Please give NRG a follow so we can continue to bring you this high level coverage. But don't worry, there's still going to be a ton of Magic brought to you by, I believe, Doomwake and Drake Sasser. Is that right?
Correct. Yep, you nailed it.
Yeah. Really capable hands that we're going to be leaving you in to take you through the rest of the Swiss portion of this modern 10K and then the top 8. And we will have a winner and our first person invited to the Invitational later this year. So, Mason, it has been a pleasure to commentate Modern with you. We got to see a lot of really cool games and really sick decks. Good luck commentating the team event tomorrow. I'm really excited to see it. Again, that's standard, modern, legacy for tomorrow. Very exciting, but it has been a blast. Thank you very much.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.